Hello and welcome to your tarot forecast for the new moon in Virgo 2021. So if you are familiar with these readings on the new and full moon, we're going to do things a little bit differently this week. So normally what I would do is I would pull 4 oracle cards for the general collective. Those readings would appear on YouTube and Instagram, and then I would continue on with an extended reading with tarot cards for my Patreon. This time we're going to do a little preview of what happens on those extended readings. I'm going to pull a few less oracle cards just to keep things a little more concise. And then the Patreon is going to get an extended reading on the full spread that we're going to pull now, based on whatever I feel like needs more information and clarity. So we're going to dive in first with what we do always, which is the Total Betty Goddess card. The Total Betty Goddess deck is a deck of my creation. It's 90s icons playing the goddesses, and we're just gonna figure out what general energy to expect from this Virgo new moon. So as I shuffle the deck, just know that these extended readings always happen over at patreon.com/Michelle Shea. If you join, especially right now at the beginning of the month, you get the most bang for your buck. We already have the tarot scopes for each sign that are up for the first of the month. If you decide to join for the full-time fortune teller level that get these extended videos, you also gain access to the full moon live tarot events. So let's see what goddess is presiding over this Virgo new moon. So we actually have 2 goddesses. We have Eos and Selene, played by Romeo and Michelle from Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. So basically this duo is telling us that even when it seems like there are opposites at play or there's conflict within our relationships, there's always a balance to be found. So this is actually a very Libra feeling energy for this Virgo new moon. So I think we have a little bit of that Libra sun energy bleeding backwards for us. And then we also have a couple different planets in Libra, so that's definitely influencing these cards. And it's basically letting us know that our relationships this month have the potential to either really boost us up or really feel conflicted. And it's the same relationship either way. It's not that the relationship itself is the problem, it's your perspective on that relationship. So you can choose to see your friendships, your family, your partnerships as someone who is holding you back or someone who is opposing what you're trying to do, or you can see the ways that they are complementing you. And there's always that balance at play, and the more that you can find that shift in perspective, the more that you can find peace within your relationships, but also find more personal growth as well. So Virgo is definitely all about that personal growth and finding all of the ways that you can improve upon yourself. So that's definitely going to come from your relationships this month. So with that in mind, I'm going to use the Wild Unknown Tarot. We're going to do a 10 card spread for the general collective, and then I'll see what from that 10 card spread needs clarifying, and that'll be what I do for the extended reading on the Patreon. So shuffling up the deck, energy for this Virgo new moon, or whenever you happen to be watching this reading. These can be timeless readings. So if you happen to find it months or years later, take what you need from this. Okay, so underneath the deck, we have the High Priestess, which I'll go through all of these in just a moment. We have the 8 of Cups, the 2 of Wands, the 8 of Pentacles, the Star, the Ace of Swords, the Daughter of Pentacles, the 6 of Pentacles, the Emperor, and the Mother of Swords. Okay. So right off the bat, what I'm seeing here in this storyline is with our underneath energy of the High Priestess, we're gonna have a lot of intuition that's gonna be paramount in figuring out these relationships as they unfold this month. The High Priestess is definitely saying that you hold more resources than you're giving yourself credit for. So if you are looking to your partnerships to complete you in some way, that might be where things are feeling out of balance. There might be a feeling of needing to recognize in the other person the things that you want to integrate within yourself. We've talked about this in other readings as well, and it's definitely a theme of the tarot scopes over on the Patreon for this month. So it does not surprise me that this energy is showing up here. So really let yourself find some time for stillness this month. I say it often on this channel, but meditation is so important when it comes to really tuning out the outside world and tuning into what's right for you. And that is doubly true whenever the High Priestess is the underlying energy. So make that a ritual. I recommend a morning meditation practice just because it's going to set you up for a better day, a more aligned day where you're kind of centered. Personally, I say 10 minutes is the minimum you should try and go for, but like whatever amount of stillness that you can find for yourself to settle in, to really set your own personal intentions for the day outside of your intentions for the rest of your relationships, that's going to help you navigate through whatever comes up within those interpersonal connections. So with our past line having the Eight of Cups, the Two of Wands, and the Eight of Pentacles. First of all, we have two eights here in our past. So we're coming from a place of change and shifting from one stage to another in very different ways. So the Eight of Cups indicates that there is something in your recent past that you have felt is like done and ready to be left behind. It's basically when you look around and you notice that none of these cups can be drank from, they are all shattered, and you allow yourself to recognize that and move forward rather than trying to fix something that is too broken to salvage. So sometimes this comes up whenever there's a relationship, especially with it being a Cups card that needs to be moved forward. It doesn't mean that that wasn't a great party. It doesn't mean that when these cups were all put together and things were happening and lively that you didn't have a good time within this relationship, within this experience, whatever it is. But we have to allow for that evolution and that change of ourselves and of others. And sometimes there is an inevitable point in a relationship where you will look around and realize that all of the things that were keeping you here originally are no longer relevant. And then that's when you have to decide that it's time to bless and release something, and to not recognize it as a failure and not recognize it as something that you shouldn't have chosen, because it definitely was what it was supposed to be while it was in existence. But we ultimately have to recognize whenever we are ready to move forward, and also let the other person or the other people in our experience move forward to what they're meant to be moving on to. So again, a lot of times it's relationship, but this could very much be coming up for some people in regards to jobs and careers, and letting go of a certain lifestyle that you've been having, and recognizing that it's something that served you in your past, but it no longer fits for who you're becoming, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean anything's wrong, it just means that you are moving forward. With that in mind, there is some partnerships and support that's coming in, both from the outside world and from your spiritual connections. So that's definitely part of this High Priestess energy, is that you do have a lot of spiritual elements at play and helping to support you in this transition. And again, this is all in the recent past, so you may be experiencing it right now, or you could have experienced it a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, but it's definitely been in your energy for a while. And then that's also projected you into this being able to cultivate an expertise in a field that is important to you. So there was something holding you back. The lack of ability to let go of something that was clearly done was holding you back from finding your true passion and your true purpose. And because you chose to let that thing go, immediately you had passion and skill for your craft come into play. So it's just a really beautiful story of finally recognizing what's right for you, and the universe opening up all the doors because you made the choice to walk away from this thing that was done and over. And that was your reward. And then in the present, for this new moon, we're moving into even more rewards, because we have the Star card, which is all about healing and being able to really absorb the benefits of the lessons that you learned in your recent past. It's about the Ace of Swords, which is the inspiration to take new and inspired action in a certain direction. So if you've been feeling like you're a little bit not lost. Lost is not the right word. We're not feeling lost. We know what we want, but we're not quite sure how to get there. And that's kind of been the general energy in the collective for a while now of it's just not time to move forward. And in this new moon energy, we are getting that inspiration of the action to take us forward. And it may be something that doesn't really seem like it's related to your ultimate goal, but because you're tapping into your intuition and you're trusting that whatever is inspiring to you is going to lead to something important, and the more that you follow those impulses, the more that that will ultimately lead you to your ultimate goal, whether it be in a direct route or in a roundabout way. So that's what's coming through for this Virgo new moon, is the fact that we are letting go of the past, accepting healing the present, and tapping into our intuition. We are going to be given direct action, and that action is going to move us even further towards our goals. And because of that, we might have a little bit of a period of time where we have to be a bit of an apprentice. So there is an element here of both in regards to relationships and in career, but career is the easier metaphor. So if you are leaving behind an old job and you've been building your skills in this new area, because that's what the Eight of Pentacles was telling us, you are now going to have the inspiration to move forward. But the inspiration might start with you not being the CEO of this experience. It might start with you doing like an apprenticeship or an internship. It might start with you just not feeling quite as established. Maybe you're becoming an entrepreneur and it's new for you and you're trying to get your footing, and maybe you're taking some classes or finding mentors in that area to help guide you. The Daughter of Pentacles is basically saying we are establishing ourselves a little bit more in our stability, but it's a new territory for us. So it's okay if you are not at the top of your game, and it's also okay if you have to kind of let someone else be center stage for a while. The Daughter of Pentacles is really comfortable with working behind the scenes as like the stagehand and letting someone else shine. So know that even though your ultimate goal might be to be center stage and to be the one that's getting the attention and the accolades and the monetary rewards for what it is that you're doing, for the time being, it's okay to take a little bit of a backseat role so that you can really make sure that you're learning what you're supposed to learn. And we have to kind of let our intuition give a little lesson to our ego about that, and that like, because we had this spark of inspiration to follow through on this field of action, on this career, or even on this relationship, we have to recognize that it may not look like the end goal immediately. It may look like something a little bit less, but it's still going to be fulfilling. This is not about settling. This is about earning your dues, really. And I think if you're listening to this and you're feeling like this is more of a relationship reading for you, it's about going into an experience recognizing that you don't know it all. That's the summary for both of these topics, actually. This Virgo new moon is challenging us to follow our inspiration, but not get so caught up in our ego thinking that we know it all, that we miss some really important lessons that are going to make the journey easier along the way. So if you're inspired to go into a certain field for your career and you have to start at the bottom and work your way up, that's okay. As long as the actual inspiration of the goal is still there, make that move. If you are inspired to create a relationship with someone new, recognize that it's gonna look a lot different than the other relationships you've been in. And it's gonna feel like unknown territory. And you have to put your ego aside and not come in with those preconceived notions, and not be able to judge people based on your past relationships. That's kind of always true. We can't really judge the new relationship that we're in based on our old traumas, because that's the baggage that we're bringing into the relationship. So you have to kind of let it be a clean slate. But this one's particularly true. I feel like if those of you that are entering into a new relationship under this new moon, it's gonna be unlike any connection that you've had before, and it's gonna play out in the dynamics unlike anything that you've thought or that you've expected in the past. And that can be both challenging and great. I think the ultimate, it's very positive card, so ultimately both in the career and the relationship is gonna be a good experience, but There's definitely a feeling of letting it be what it's supposed to be rather than trying to project your control onto it based on past experiences. So release the control and let it unfold in the moment. And that's where the lessons are going to be. So our future cards are coming in with the Six of Pentacles, the Emperor, and the Mother of Swords. So these cards are telling me a big story of long-term payoff. So through finding this presence of letting go of the ego and letting yourself be a bit of an apprentice in whatever area that's coming up in your life, you are then going to get a little more patient with the present moment. Like whenever you stop trying to project your past onto your future to be able to try and figure out what to expect, because it's about control. We're letting go of control because ultimately the reason that we use our past experiences to define what is going to unfold in the future is because we want to be able to know what to expect. And that's normal, that's human, but we are all being presented under this new moon with situations that cannot be defined by our past experiences. They are supposed to be new experiences, but they might initially feel like something that we can compare to something in our past. And the lesson here is to let go of that tendency. As you let go of that tendency, you're going to become radically present in the moment. And that's also why meditation is important, because it teaches you to become radically present in the moment. And through becoming radically present in this moment, you will then be able to see what needs your attention and what needs to ripen on the vine. So there are two metaphors I love to use with the card. I use it almost every time it comes up because I think it's the perfect way to display it. The first one I used to use is berries on a vine. So if you're looking at a berry, like a bunch of strawberries on a vine, and you're looking at one particular strawberry and you're like, I really want to eat that strawberry, but it's not ripe. So I'm going to sit here and stare at that strawberry until it's ripe. If you just focus on that one strawberry, all the other berries on the vine are going to start to ripen, you're going to miss them, they're going to fall off the vine and rot. The other metaphor that I use, which is the same meaning, is if you are cooking a bunch of pots on a stovetop and you're staring at one pot waiting for it to boil, you're going to miss the fact that all the other pots on that stovetop are boiling over and burning, because you were so hyper-focused on this one thing. So by being present in the moment, our future is unfolding in a way that we can be a very overarching view, which is what the Emperor is. We can see the big picture of things. And by seeing the big picture, we may not get to focus on the thing that we really want right now this second, because that pot's not ready to boil, but we're gonna notice the other things that are happening, and we're going to be able to deal with the other things that the universe is providing for us. We're going to be able to enjoy all the other ripe berries because we weren't just zeroed in. We saw the big picture. We saw the whole vine. We saw the whole stovetop. And because of that, it's going to be a much more enjoyable experience, and you're going to learn more along the way because you're not just staring at this goal with blinders on. And that echoes back to our Daughter of Pentacles message in the present, which is that you have to put your ego to the side and not expect to necessarily have it look exactly like you thought it was, to not be at the top of your game right away. You will learn more along the way because you didn't skyrocket to the top. You will be so much more prepared for that top level because of the steps you took up to get there. And you will be so much more satisfied with that ripe berry because you've tasted all the other flavors along the way. And ultimately, this is going to bring us to a place of Mother of Swords energy, which means that we are going to be at the top of the game. We are going to be the one making the decisions, and we are going to be able to discern properly what people, relationships, connections, opportunities that we want to let in our lives, and what ones we want to let go of. So this is definitely a full circle reading of being able to come from this place of not wanting to let go of something that's done to becoming a master at discernment and being able to let go of things in the right timing and accept rewards in the right timing and feel complete in the present moment. Wow. I am so excited by this reading. I'm so happy that that message came through for you and for myself. And you know, this is normally what happens on the extended readings on the Patreon. So if you're watching these on YouTube or Instagram, know that this is a bi-monthly event. Whenever I get past the 4 oracle cards that I normally do online, this is the type of reading that happens afterwards. That being said, for this reading, I'm going to take it even further. And based on these cards for my Patreon members, we're going to do a little extended reading. I'm going to focus on career, because that feels like the bigger, louder message here. I think we're all working on both career and relationships, but I think by focusing on the career, we're gonna learn the lessons that are presented here and be able to apply them to our relationships as well. So if this resonated for you as someone who is walking away from a previous career, developing your skills in maybe a new area or in a new role, and eventually wanting to be at the top of your game, like the owner of a company or an entrepreneur, if those are things that resonate for you, we're gonna pull some more cards on that. So you can continue on with me over at the Patreon, patreon.com/Michelle Shea. It is the full-time fortune teller level, which like I said is also the one that gets access to all of the other goodies and the live events on the full moon. And if you're watching this on Patreon, the extended part of this reading starts right now.